In this week's episode, we are taking you behind the scenes of our little weekend away business break.
Welcome to JFDI with the two Lauras, the show where we talk every Tuesday about life working as a freelance social media manager. We talk about marketing, we talk about business, we have the occasional little rant, and on the show today we're going to take you behind the scenes of our little trip to London that we took recently to kind of take a break away from the business while also talking about the business. So let's get into it. What do we do? Where do we go? How much was my Diet Coke? Spoiler alert, really expensive.
Really expensive. Well, they're not as expensive as my wine, so.
Well, no, but you would expect that.
Yeah, true. So we went to London, but we do these quite regularly. We've been all over the place, haven't we? We've done London, we've done Santorini, we've done Barcelona. We weren't quite organised enough this time, were we? to
No,
go
not
anywhere
quite.
exciting. So it was nice to just go to London. It's fairly central to us. Booked ourselves a nice hotel, and we were weighing up, do we want to go in a hotel and someone feed us, or do we want to go Airbnb and have to feed ourselves? So we obviously went for the hotel option. And we did 3 nights away with the plan to just sort our lives out. For those of you who don't know, Laura and I do not live anywhere near each other. Laura's down on the south coast in Worthing, which is near Brighton. Near enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then I'm up near Birmingham, so we're quite far away. A good few hours, I'd imagine. We've never tried, have we, to actually go to each other's. So we don't. Yes, we sit on Zoom probably every day, but we rarely get chance to just sit down and work together face to face. And when we do see each other, aside from that, is when we're at an event or go to meetings. So that kind of time just together, just to work on the business, is really valuable to us. So that's why we did it. And yeah, we chose London, where your Diet Coke's £4.50, was it, or £5?
Like, no joke, like a third of a can, if that. £5.
Yeah.
Rip off. Should have just taken a box with me.
We totally
Rookie
should have
mistake.
done. Yeah, and then we stupidly, on one of the evenings, we fancied like something sweet, as you do. So we tried to find like a shop, and there is no like.
Which you wouldn't think would be that hard in London.
I know. Like, I'm thinking, to be fair, we did then find that there was like a little Sainsbury's local thing, the small Sainsbury's around the corner, but we hadn't found that on that night. And we ended up in this tourist, because we were right by St. Paul's, so very touristy area. And we went in this tourist like tat shop just to get like some sweets. But it was ridiculous, wasn't it? It was like, what did I get? Like Reese's cup things. They were like £3.
Yeah, it was just beyond a joke. So we're now poor.
Yeah. So, well, that motivated us to have to sit down and make sure that we had a good plan of action to just pay for Laura's Diet Coke fix.
I love it. So anyway, instead of just talking about what we spent our money on, I feel like we should go through the sort of things that we did, because I think that'd be really helpful for you as a listener or a watcher, because I think you could do something like this as well and it'd be really beneficial. So we'll talk about what we did, some mistakes we made, some things we might do differently next time. Yeah? Sound good? Let's get in. Right, so the first thing we did, apart from drinking Diet Coke...
And eating,
which we did do a lot of, let's be honest, was we thought we should probably plan out our financial goals so we can afford all the Diet Coke. And talking about numbers is not my strength. I do not like talking about numbers. Don't really like talking about money. Happy to spend it, but maybe it's the Britishness of me. Don't really like it. But we did sit down and talk about financial goals, didn't we?
Yeah, because I think it's important to, like, I like numbers. That's my thing. Laura's words, I'm numbers. So I'm forever in our bank account. I'm forever looking at the money coming in, the money going out. It's just my love language. But yeah, Laura doesn't. So it was good to just sit down and be like, look, this is where we're at. This is where we want to be. This is where we were this time last year. And just to, give some stark reality truth bombs to Laura. So that's what we did. We kind of like, this is where we're at. And then it's like, okay, well, where do we want to be? What do we want to do? Just not how. So we weren't like, right, well, how are we going to make that kind of money? We were just like, right, this is where we want to be in 12 months' time. And then obviously from once you've set those goals, you can then work backwards and think, okay, well, for us to do that, we need to A, do some more marketing, B, develop new products or services, so then you can create that plan working backwards based on what we want to earn.
And I think what's really important is, like, when Laura and I are looking at finances and stuff like that, it's really easy to see like the number in your bank account or how much money you've made or how much money you haven't made, and just immediately think, oh my God, everyone hates me. No one's buying my stuff. Like I'm failing. But you always just have to ask yourself why. And we always know if things are not selling, if people are not joining the toolkit, etc., we always know why it is. And it's always, without shadow of a doubt, because we have stopped marketing. Or we've stopped running ads, or we've stopped sending daily emails. We were really, really busy, and we had a whole week where I didn't send a single email because I send most of our emails. And it has an immediate impact. And the more that you do, the more that you kind of benefit from it. And
you reap what you sow.
Exactly. And as marketers, we know this, but we kind of still have to just remind yourself. And we'll often see people who are like, oh, I'm going to set up an email marketing newsletter. I'm going to email once a week, once a fortnight. And we're like, okay, that's great. But if you did it more than that, you would benefit more.
Yeah.
And we know that from ourselves, because we also know when we don't do it, what happens. So just learn from that and just remind yourselves, if things are going down the pan, it's probably because of something that you haven't done. Not even just in the last few days, but 2 months, 3 months, 6 months ago, what did you not do? Because that's probably having an impact now.
It's always interesting to look at those peaks and troughs of your income and to then think, okay, well, why is that? And is that something that I could have done something about or did do something about if it was a peak? And learn from that and go forward. But, it's all like Laura and I know that when we're busy working on things behind the scenes, we do take our eye off the ball when it comes to marketing. We know that. So really, and I think that became really clear this weekend. And it's like we need to make sure we have a plan in place that when we next go all in on creating things behind the scenes, we have a plan in place to keep our marketing ticking over whilst we're taking our eye off that. But it's easier said than done, but it was definitely good for us to, see that and decide and realise that and kind of acknowledge it really, so we can put a plan in place in the future.
Yeah, and it's like whenever we're talking to social media managers who are creating something new, maybe they're creating a low ticket product or a course or whatever, we always tell them to market it and sell it first, because that's how you validate it. But also, if you don't do that, you spend so much time creating whatever that thing is that you haven't done the marketing, so therefore you don't get the sales of it. So it just makes sense to always put that marketing of it first, just like you would do with your clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next thing we did, and if you haven't seen our Instagram post recently, you may not know this, but Laura and I are speaking at Atomicon in June, which we are both excited and terrified about. And I think this news came as a bit of a shock to people, because we've always said that we don't do speaking gigs. We've probably said it on the podcast numerous times. You've probably heard us say it a lot. But when Andrew and Pete asked us to speak at Atomicon, it's kind of not really the thing you say no to. So we had to spend some time planning out what we're going to be talking about at that session, having a little chat with ourselves about what are we going to wear. That is the major problem I'm currently facing.
That is,
and just getting over ourselves a bit.
Yeah, I think, Laura and I back in the day, we would stand up and talk in front of people.
All the time. Yeah.
But for some reason
separately, we've never done it together.
Yeah, we've never done it together. So that adds a degree of complexity as to who's going to talk at what point. But we haven't done that for a long time. I can't remember the last time I stood up in front of. Well, we've not done it since we've worked together, really, have we?
No, I don't think so.
So that's 5 years, and it's like I was fine with it, but now because we haven't done it for so long, it's like, oh God.
Yeah, and like I was saying to you, when I used to do speaking, and when I was a holiday rep and standing up in front of hundreds of people and all of those sorts of things, I was absolutely fine because I didn't know anyone in the room. But we know that the room in Atomicon is going to be filled with lots of faces we know, and that is the thing that's scaring me the most, which is why? That should make me feel more comfortable, but it really doesn't, and I don't know why that is.
I do get that. I am slightly fearful of that, but equally I know like all of our like members and like our nice community will be there to support us if they come. Obviously, if we're up against somebody who's way better than us, then maybe they'll all go somewhere else. But if they do come and support us, I know they're there to support us.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a nice
and the
feeling.
Old advice
I might think differently on the day.
But the advice about picturing people naked, won't be doing that, because probably we'll know a lot of people in the room. So just to let you know, that will not be happening. That's not part of my strategy.
Yeah, no, well, I hadn't thought about that one. But no, definitely.
You will be now.
Yeah, no, I definitely won't be. So it was good for us to sit down, and because obviously things like that are really difficult to plan virtually. Like we often, when we do masterclasses and things, we have to, we can't be meeting up every time we've got something, like a training session or something to plan. But so this one was good to sit down face to face and bash out what we wanted to do. And it's going to be really good. It's going to be really useful as well, because
it will be.
Laura and I don't like conferences as a general rule. I've been to every single Atomicon because I absolutely love it. And you've been, the large majority?
Yeah, a couple of, yeah.
So I think that puts the pressure on, because I do love Atomicon, but I cannot bear going to any conference or any session where you just don't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
They just talk about themselves, and there's nothing no tangible takeaway.
Yeah, I want to leave being told, right, go away and do this, this and this. And then when I go away, I actually do those things. I don't want to be coming away. Like, I know we're not mindset woo-woo kind of people. I know people do love that. But I can't sit in a room and just hear a load of mindset stuff, because that doesn't leave me with anything when I leave.
Yeah.
And if I'm taking a day out of my business, I want to leave with some tangible stuff I can go and apply that will benefit us or our business or me in some way. Exactly. So that's our plan, isn't it? We want to make sure that people leave with those sorts of things.
I want it to be, people are going to have to get their pen and paper out.
So make sure you bring one.
or your notes on your phone. It's
totally. Fine. If you haven't got a ticket, by the way, we'll make sure that the link for the tickets is in the show notes or in the description below if you're watching on YouTube, so you can go and grab a ticket. I know there's not very many tickets left at the moment. By the time you watch this, they may have been completely sold out. So if you are planning on coming, make sure you go and grab a ticket like ASAP.
Yeah, do try if you can. It's such a good conference. So
it
fun.
Really is. I think calling it a conference is a bit of an insult, because I don't feel like it is. It's like a party event.
A work party with some education thrown in.
Totally. Yeah.
Just nice people, nice vibes, nice parties. It's all just really nice. Not stuffy, not like...
Yeah, there's no one in a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all like
no
jeans.
Ties. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, jeans, jumpers. Yeah.
Nice vibes.
Okay, so we did that. So that took up a lot, a good chunk of our time, didn't it?
Yeah.
What else did we do? We've kind of planned out our new clickback campaign. Our clickback ads training manual, which was exciting to get that all mapped out. That, if you wanted to find out more about what that is, it's you can go to the2lauras.com/CBC. We'll pop the notes down below in the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can find that in the description.
Yes, we spent quite a while on that, didn't we? We also recorded some reels for ads and things like that. And since we've been back, we've also been working on that behind the scenes as well. So it was ready to go, ready for us to launch it in the podcast. And we spent a lot of time reviewing our email marketing strategy, didn't we? Like I just said, we had a week where I didn't send a single email. And I think often when you kind of have that, I mean, a lot of that was because we were distracted doing other things. But because we didn't have that plan or strategy of what it was we wanted to do for this time period, it was really easy for me to just go, oh, that can wait. And it did. We plan all our emails in Airtable, and it was just empty, just staring at me like, fill me with some emails. And I just couldn't bring myself to do it, because I couldn't think of what on earth I was talking about, because we hadn't had these conversations. So now we've had those conversations. As soon as I came back, it was so easy for me to then go and write emails. But we need to do that more often. And I think people in general need to do that more often. Just review what it is that they're doing and just think, okay, what is that email marketing strategy from like a daily or weekly basis, but also behind the scenes, what are the automations that we need running? Because not everybody will get every one of your emails if you're doing it really cleverly. And when people are joining your email list, you want to make sure that everyone's going through the same sort of journey in terms of like the first kind of emails that they get, like what happens, what are they told, how do they get to know you, all of those sorts of things. And we hadn't reviewed that for a while, had we? So we have spent a little bit of time looking at that and talking about what we're going to do with that. And like, I love email marketing, but it is always useful to kind of just step back and just get someone else's opinion, which I think was really useful during that time in London.
Yeah, it was useful. And it just reminded us as well of the emails and the automations that we've already written that probably just need to be tweaked and updated. Like, it doesn't always result in having to create brand new, email marketing automations and sequences. It sometimes, and with everything, sometimes you've already got things at your fingertips that you just need to maybe update, tweak. So thankfully, we think we can just do a bit of an overhaul on what we've already got.
Yeah.
Which is nice that we don't have to create new things.
Yeah, definitely. And if you like, well, I haven't even got any emails, so I can't really review that. You've probably got social content that you can look at.
Exactly.
That you can turn into email marketing. You can go and see what's worked and what sort of topics resonate with people. What have you had sales from? All of those sorts of things, any content that you've had discovery calls booked from, or people asking to book in a call, etc. Those sorts of things, you can just have a look and see where are the trends and stuff and use those as your emails, like as a starting off kind of point.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to just have that, like you said, to have you hit a bit of a wall because we hadn't had those conversations. But as soon as we'd kind of mapped out a bit of a plan, we knew what we wanted, knew what our goals were, it gave you that kind of motivation to know what to write about. And it will be the same for you if you sat at home thinking, oh God, I don't know what to write. What is your goal? What do you want to achieve? It doesn't have to be your life goals. It doesn't have to be your goals for the year. It's like, what's the next thing you want to achieve in your business? And then how can you write emails that will help you to build up to that, to market that? And then whether that's as a one-off email or whether it's as a sequence, automated sequence, it's just having your goal will make that everything easier. Like all of your marketing is easier once you've got that goal.
Yeah, totally.
We also ate a lot of food, but you don't think you need to know about that.
A lot of food. That was on the notes, so I think it's worth a mention.
Yeah, we did have the strawberries at Borough Market with the chocolate on.
Yeah, I have since been looking at them on TikTok, making me want to go back. But yeah, nice little pint glass full of strawberries. And then, like when you're in a pub and they're pouring like lager out of a tap, it was like that, but with chocolate sauce all over the strawberries. Oh, it was amazing.
It was quite a fine-tuned process, wasn't it?
Amazing
it was so
process.
Busy. Like, we got there probably about 1:00 on the Friday, didn't we? So it was like bang on kind of lunchtime. And it was really, really, really busy. And there were queues everywhere. There was people in like high vis, like managing the traffic of people. But the chocolate strawberry area was like, you can tell they'd done it before, hadn't they? They had, the people stood up asking how many you want. And then the lady was there with a couple of them were there with their payment machine. So you just kind of tapped and paid. And you went around, there was the people there doing the strawberries with the chocolate. And then you were out. Like, it was like finely tuned, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's like being in a Disney queue. It was so well managed.
Yeah.
I was very impressed. For a market, that was like impressive. Yeah,
it was. But then we didn't find anything else we wanted to eat there like before that because it was just so overwhelming. There was way too much choice. Probably a lesson in that. But so we ended up walking down the road and finding ourselves a little tapas restaurant.
Yeah.
Obviously, we did that before the strawberries. Didn't have the strawberries first.
No, of course.
Anyway, I don't think everyone needs to know about what we were eating all weekend. But, if you do, let us know. We can record a whole podcast.
Maybe we'll just start a whole food channel.
Yeah. But I do think it's worth just, talking about how you can essentially do this too. And really should be. You should be at key points in the year, need to be sitting down and thinking, right, what the hell am I doing with this business of mine? And whether you take yourself off for a couple of nights, whether you just take yourself out for the day, I definitely recommend removing yourself from your normal place of work, whether that be the sofa, the dining room table, whether you've got an office, just remove yourself. So even if you just wanted to do a day, go and find yourself a nice cafe where you can just sit and drink nice coffee and eat nice food all day and completely remove yourself from the distractions. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Don't answer any client emails. That day or time is dedicated for you and your business. You know, book yourself in a spa. Just book yourself in a Premier Inn.
Totally. Yeah.
I just think that time away from all distractions, and you can actually think, well, you know what do I want to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to be known for? How much money do I want to make? And make sure that those decisions that you're clear on, you've got that kind of clarity, and it's like, right, how am I going to do that? What do I need to be delivering to get to that point? And I think it's just well worth it. And obviously, if you've got a busy home life as well, it's even more of a treat, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a couple of things that we could have done differently, which might be useful if you are going to plan this kind of day. And like Laura said, make those decisions first before you can make any plans. But there's a few things, so if we'd have planned, we recorded a lot of reels when we were there, but if we'd have planned what those reels were going to be before we went, we wouldn't have spent so much time faffing about being like, oh, what are we going to say? You know, we could have done all of that before we went and made sure that we left with the reels that we needed. And we have left with some good videos, but I think we could have left with a lot more strategic content if we'd have planned it out beforehand.
I agree.
And that's useful for us because we're not often in the same place. So for us to be able to record videos together, they need to be when we're together, obviously. Yeah. For you, it might be different. It might be something else that you need to plan in advance. We also should have taken more photos together because we have so few photos together. If we'd have just set a reminder on our phone, every hour, take a photo, we would have left with loads of photos. Do you know what I mean? Just those little things.
So crap.
We really are.
Part of the problem is though, which I hadn't really anticipated, is that I had in my head, I had loads of thoughts about where we could take one or what we could take photos of both of us. But it relied on us putting our phone down, setting the timer, sitting down or running. And actually we were in a really busy tourist area, and I just don't know whether I wanted to just constantly leave my phone unattended and run across and sit down. So possibly being in very central, very touristy London wasn't the best for that. And maybe I'm being, melodramatic, and it would have all been fine and no one will have stolen my phone. But my phone is my life, and I would have been distraught if someone had nicked it just for the sake of a photo. So that didn't help. So, if you're planning somewhere to go, maybe don't go in a really busy area, because then you can be a bit more.
Yeah. And we didn't think to take a tripod with us or anything like that, which would have made things a lot easier. So just have a think about, what do I actually need to get all of these things done?
And on that note, also check things are charged. We went out on one of the afternoons and we had recorded loads of reels, and then we were kind of working our way back towards the hotel, recording these reels as we go, and they were probably our best of the reels we did, because they were the ones that were much more kind of strategic and well thought out.
And we'd been really organised. We'd made sure we had microphones, we were checking the light, all of that stuff. We were planning.
Yeah, and then we got kind of pretty much back to the hotel, and we realised, I think we wanted to rewatch one of them, and we realised there was no sound, and because we were using wireless microphones, their battery had died on them. So we went back and we realised that all of these reels hadn't recorded
there was
sound.
20 odd.
And it was nearly dark.
I'm still devastated.
So we had to run into the hotel. Luckily, we were using one set, and we both bought our sets to London. So we had to ditch the one set, get another set, and then out we went to do them again. But it was kind of the second time we'd done them. We couldn't remember what we'd said the first time. The light was getting dark. My feet were hurting.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
There was loads of tourists everywhere. There was loads of school French trips, wasn't there? There was heaving amounts of French school kids everywhere we went. So that's a definite lesson. Just take your charger. Make sure you charge things.
100%.
Sure, no one else will make that mistake.
Definitely worth doing, and we should definitely do it more often. It's just difficult, isn't it? When you've got children and life and all of that stuff, it's difficult. But if you can put time in your diary to actually, and like Laura said, you don't have to go to London. You don't have to go abroad. You can literally go to the cafe down the road and just remove yourself. If you work with someone, be with that person, or, even if you don't work with them, you could still go and work together with a friend and get some stuff done and planned out and have those discussions. I think is really helpful.
Yeah, you don't have to, I get it. It's been hard for us to get that time in the diary. We talked about, I think, was it October time?
Yeah, probably.
And for one reason or another, it hadn't happened. So I totally can get that. It's obviously the complexities for us is that there are two of us and we don't live near each other. So, and then it's you know what, if we are going to make the effort, we might as well make the effort. And we did 3 nights away to get as much done as we could. But if I didn't work with Laura and I was just doing my thing, I would just take a day away, go and work in a cafe, remove myself from the normalities of my business and my life, so I could just think more clearly. You don't have to go for it on a grand scale. So you could say, well, I'm going to have one day where I'm going to go out and do something really strategic, like planning my business, planning my goals, and then plan another day where you go out and do your reels and your photos, and because that's separate, isn't it? You don't have to do all of that at the same time, I mean. So yeah, definitely try and get a day in your diary to do this, because it's well worth it.
Yeah,
super good, especially if you feel like you're in a bit of a rut, don't really know what you're doing.
Totally. On that note, let us know, are you going to do this? If you are listening in the podcast, come over to our Instagram, send us a message, let us know when you're going to do it, where you're going to go, what you're going to be discussing or planning or what have you. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment below. We're really nosy and we want to know what you're going to do. And if you've got any questions about how you can make the most of it, then obviously ask us those as well. And that's it. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Toodles. Ta-ra and au revoir.
Au revoir.